the deepest of lores.
October 8th, 9:48 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby, number 6.
Good morning. So you're Vera, right? I'm Trucy Wright. That's right with a W, but not right, right? We're on your side. You can tell us anything, please.
Good morning.
She speaks? Not bad. But I think you'd do better with a little smile, you know? You're so pretty, you need to sell yourself, you know? Trucy, let's take it easy for starters.
Thank you for taking my case.
I'm gonna love this girl. This girl's awesome. I like the bear on her, too.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a thumbnail picture for her.
Okay, well, that's a start, I guess. There she goes with the nail polish again.
It's an interesting bottle.
That's great, really. It's so cultured.
Want to try it?
Ooh, really?
Trucy, your dad says no.
Girls.
Also, why would Trucy want nail polish? She's wearing gloves.
It might be a bonding moment, though. The victim, Drew Misham, was a forger. And a stolen painting was found in his studio. A life of crime, really? And maybe one that led to his death.
October 8th, 10 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 3.
Objection.
Overruled.
We will now begin the trial of Vera Misham. Is the judge okay? His voice is all raspy and he's looking around all nervous like. Ahem. The repercussions of today's trial will most likely be felt for a long time. And may indeed alter our legal system forever.
Today is a test of the Jewish system, and the first step towards a new order in our courts.
Daddy's secret mission. Yeah, the way to say that out loud in court.
The jurors will function like a jury. I hope their inclusion will help the courts better reflect their people's will.
Why aren't there any jurors in the courtroom?
3 closed-circuit cameras watch this courtroom at all times. The jurors have access to everything that transpires. Jurist, judge it well, judge cool. Good grief, Claire. Judge well, judge cool.
Now see here, Prosecutor Gavin. I was going to say that.
My apologies there, Judge.
Ahem, jurors, today judge today's trial coolly, if you would be so kind. The jurors are unbound by the letter of the law. They don't affect the trial with evidence, but by their feelings. And we're about to find out just what effect they're going to have. Very well, Prosecutor Gavin, the details of the case, if you would.
The victim is the painter, Drew Misham. He was killed in his own studio. His coffee was poisoned. By whom, you ask? By none other than the defendant, Vera Misham.
His argument's already flawed. There wasn't any poison in the coffee.
Octung, someone has been doing their homework. Indeed, poison is not present in the coffee, but it's on the mug itself.
The mug, residue was found in the rim, I see.
The autopsy report describes the manner of our victim's deaths.
The court accepts this as evidence.
Alright. Let's put that.
Between 9:30.
So, victim's name, Drew Sean, age 52, male. Time of death, October 6th, between 9 and 9:30. Cause of death, atrichonine poison.
According to this report, the victim's death was caused by atrichonine poisoning.
A chemical compound that does not occur naturally. Lethal dosage is a mere 0.002 milligrams. A touch of atrichonine in the body is a touch of the Reaper's scythe. So touching it is very dangerous as well.
Very well, Prosecutor Gavin. You may present your witness.
I have for you today a simple man for a simple case. A man who witnessed the murder in its entirety.
That journalist, no doubt.
The witness will state his name and occupation. Oh, right. Well, for starters, my name is Spark Brusher. My job is the lone observer of the world.
In other words, a freelance journalist, right?
Ahem. If you don't mind, I'd like to state something here for the record.
Yes, Mr. Brushel.
I dislike conclusions, specifically the aspects of jumping to conclusions. Preconceptions make Pox sandbox of endless desert waste. End quote.
But you're a journalist. You said yourself yesterday.
Well, that's true, yes. You must understand, I stand before you today, a man with a dream. I'm offering you my testimony in exchange for exclusive rights to this story. Scoop turns Mr. Brushel into that Mr. Brushel. End quote. You can't do that, sorry. The court cannot agree to that. You cannot hold your testimony behind, oh, I get full access to this for the papers. Not how it works, buddy. You will testify, and you will testify well. You don't get full access to this story. Sorry, that's not how this works.
Let's hear your testimony then, shall we? A simple case, eh, Gavin? For me, the jury is still out.
I visited the studio around 9 that night to do an interview. The first outsider to enter the altar, journalistic history made. End quote. His daughter brought us coffee right after we started. You know what happened next? Starfall. End quote. No one else entered the room besides her the whole time.
If that first statement is honest, that makes it really hard to pin it on him. Right? Because if he entered at 9, he would have to poison him immediately upon shaking hands or something, and then he's got 15 minutes to live. So if he'd have to poison him between 9 and 9:15 for him to die right on the edge of the autopsy report. That does sound like a simple case. Unless you were the ones who poisoned him.
Whatever you say, Judge.
You know, remind you the cameras are rolling today. I felt the need to be a bit dramatic.
I mean, it is something that needs to be pointed out. He was there. He has the opportunity. You didn't do it, did you? Me do a thing like that? Come on, that's like news making the news. End quote. Or even contemporary witch hunt. End quote. I know. Wild Accusations Rock Courtroom. End quote. Rock indeed.
Prosecutor Gavin sure looks like he's having fun.
He's always having fun, Trucy. We know this.
I'm so happy for him. Very well, Mr. Justice, your cross-examination, please.
Your cross-examination, please. End quote.
Nine at night. Isn't that a little late for an interview?
The great painter Drew Bisham says come at 9. Believe you me, I'd go at 9. First, as it turned out, last interview was such a prolific painter.
Right. Can you tell us what it was like when you arrived? You were the first reporter ever in Drew's studio.
Posterity will look back on that night as a turning point in journalistic history. Basically, an insignificant step for all mankind, but a giant step for that Brushel guy. End quote. If no one on the outside ever had access to the studio, then it would be asserted to be reason that the deed was done by an insider.
By which he means Vera did it.
So how do you Epoch making an interview go?
Would you mind being a good little more specific?
Oh, oui. Let me tell you, I enjoyed Kappa. But in fact, it all began when I was in 3rd grade.
That's not what I meant.
I believe I know what Air Forehead is driving at. This coffee the victim was served. Did anyone other than the defendant touch it?
Right, that. That's what I was gonna say, really.
Well, now, if you got a question to ask, you better straight up ask it. That's what I tell all the new recruits several times. Right for a grade schooler. That's my motto. End quote. Which isn't to say that...
Oh, that skipped. Who touched the coffee?
Don't know. I was in the back looking at the studio's equipment when she served it. And what happened next?
What's this about a star falling? Star falls. It's like an old telegram. Send money. Over.
Zawi. You don't know? That's a journalistic code word. An important personage passes away. The star falls. Get it?
But there's no gravity in space, is there? I wouldn't think stars could fall, really. Does this matter? And there is gravity in space.
Oh boy, this is good stuff. Good stuff. How about star breaks? Nah, lax punch. I know. Star dies. Nah, lax imagination. Of course, you could just go with Drew dies straight to the point. I like it.
I think we need to hear about something a little more substantial. The moment of death.
Yeah, probably.
About what Mr. Misham passed away.
Oh boy, what a scene that was. Put his coffee mug down was a crash, right?
Yes, and then?
Then the cold finger of death touches his spine. Life's flame sputters and fails. So cold that touch could be naught but tremble uncontrollably. Actually, life's flame was a little tired. Life's river froze over. Yes, that's a go.
I think he started his article already. Could you describe that a little more simply?
Well, as you can imagine, I was pretty surprised. He hit the floor, as they say. Or a seizure in final performance. End quote. Atrocanon paralyzes the central nervous system. The body arches back. Okay.
Quite enough of that. Some of us want to be able to sleep tonight.
Oh yes. Well, I want the details. A lot of juicy details. For that, you can listen to our last year's hit single, Atrocanon, My Love, by the Gaviniers, available at all major music outlets.
The point here is that the victim died of acatronine poisoning. Well, Mr. Justice, how do you find that testimony?
Very important.
Well, as an account of the moment of the victim's death, I'd say it's very important. Please add it to the testimony. Very well. The court requests that the witness add this account to his testimony.
Those spasms. That was definitely death by poison.
You say it was definitely death by poison. How can you be so sure?
Hey, look, I'm a journalist. I've seen a lot of things. And I've had more of my share of experience with so-called poisons. Bandits, fishy fish, goes bye-bye. End quote.
Food poisoning doesn't count. Should I get into talk about something else?
One of these is gonna have to be contradictory then.
Breakfast coffee. Maybe he'll talk about... I think we... Actually, yeah, let's not... Third option seems the most logical.
Okay, those spasms, that's definitely death by poison.
We can't really rule that out or contradict it because it's even in the autopsy report. Everything agrees.
Like, we
with
don't
this.
have the poison itself. Well, this says it's slow acting. And kind of what he's saying is like it happened quickly. It's kind of what it
doesn't say that in
seems.
the statement. You say Mr. Masham had the coffee too. But did you actually see him drink the coffee?
Of course. He who sees it wins, but he who says it wins it bigger. End quote. I live a man sees dog eat dog writes about it at world. Yet.
Yeah.
I guess I can't say I saw him drink it, really. I one so-called sip, if that. Man puts monk to lips, drinks, end quote.
The poison is quite virulent, I hear.
Oh, my stomach did a so-called somersault. Since I gulped down the copper without so much of a second glance at it. Wait, maybe something's there. Is it some kind of so-called trick? I don't want to venture a guess, for the record.
Does this guy have the pause button? Well, Mr. Justice, did you find that testimony valuable? The victim drank his coffee, then immediately fell over.
Yep, this is gonna be it. Oh, yes, yes. You can go to the press with that one.
Your Honor, this is a vital piece of information. Please add it to the testimony. Very well, the witness will add this to his testimony.
Vital, right. Yeah, one sip, if that. Next moment, he was on the floor. That is wrong. Because it's a slow-acting poison, it wouldn't immediately kill him.
Yep. You know what I have a problem with? A particular property of the poison used, atropine. Oh, Prosecutor Gavin was quite clear about the poison. A lethal dosage of 0.002 milligram paralyzes the central nervous system. If you drank that, even you, Mr. Justice, would be reduced to a quivering pile. Why are you using me as an example?
Does the judge want Apollo dead?
Unfortunately, we weren't told everything. There's a vital omission in Prosecutor Gavin's information.
Gavin's like, well, you called me out, boy.
An omission? Atropine is as virulent as he says. But death doesn't come upon ingestion, not immediately. That's because atropine is slow acting.
What?
According to one forensic scientist, if we suppose at the moment Mr. Champ sipped the coffee was when he sealed his fate, then he would still have had time left to enjoy his last cup of joe. Order, order. What's the meaning of this? If what the defense says is correct, why, that contradicts the entire testimony we've just heard. Well, Mr. Bushell, anything to say on the record?
Slow acting. S-L-O-W-A-C-T. It was brilliant, right? But even then, it had already been digging at his claws into a journalist.
He's working on a scoop.
Objection!
It's Brussels, Jack. Air Brussels. Let's take a trip down memory lane. Huh? Huh?
Huh.
Huh? Huh?
Huh.
Huh? 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 Did the victim really die the instant he took the sip? Clavier, you're guiding him. You can't do that. This is a problem with these games. The prosecutors can just guide the witnesses, and they're just like, oh, I see no problem here. Think it over. This is vital. You know what I think? I think that was not so subliminal suggestion. End quote. Mm-hmm. At least the reporter knows. I admit it. It does cause a problem if he died when you say he did. I'd be forced to say out of innocent to my simple case. And you would be forced to say farewell to your article. Come again?
Oh.
You can't write a story based on conjecture, can you? As the case drags on, now other reporters will pick up the scent. And you'll be forced to kiss the exclusive scoop goodbye. Now Clavier seems to be threatening him. Clavier, what the crap are you doing? Scoop? Look, wait. Just wait a sec. Just 1 second.
We're waiting. Out with it.
I think I just recalled the so-called important detail. Revival recollection, end quote. A story survival, end quote.
Attorney utterly confused, end quote.
Actually, I did notice something when I visited the studio. I heard the poison that takes its sweet time, see? Heard of poison. But not what I've been saying for the last few minutes, apparently.
Mr. Brussel, are you saying you noticed something that explains what happened?
You bet I am. The antidote for a poison contradiction. End quote.
Or I still have no idea what you're talking about. End quote, I might say.
I figured it out, but only after an in-depth interview. See, thanks to my journalism skills, I know who poisoned that coffee.
Order.
As far as I can tell, the witness is standing by his testimony. That Mr. Misham died the instant after he drank. Of course I'm standing by my testimony. And my dream of exclusive rights to this story. I suppose it was too much to hope for.
What was?
Of course he wouldn't choose a simple case. Not him.
Him.
Clavier knows, like,
Yep.
okay. He's like, okay, Phoenix, I know this case is more complicated than what we're led on to believe. But hey, let's give it a try. We'll still go on. Phoenix, right? Who else? Octone Airbrush, report for us, if you would. What is it that you noticed?
The court is in critical trial of the juris system. I'm afraid no room for doubt is permissible. You will testify to the court about what you noticed.
Oh. When I arrived at the studio, Mr. Marchand was at his desk. Cinder writing a letter, but he quickly sealed the envelope.
Ooh.
I thought nothing of it at the time, of course. Now I think about it. If he was writing anything, what if he was writing a suicide note?
Well, we know what the counter was.
The envelope wasn't sealed.
Envelope wasn't sealed, and it's not a suicide note. A suicide note?
Yes, he had a look on his face. And face inscrutable as a quadratic equation. End quote.
Suicide, poor Mr. Misham. But that means Vera's innocent. Would someone commit suicide in the middle of an interview? Oh. Very well, you may begin your cross-examination. Well, it's definitely the last statement with the letter, so, I mean... We have what the letter says, proving it's not a suicide note.
Well, it could be this one, too. Because the envelope's not sealed.
But then again, that's not exactly a fact either. He's just hypothesizing.
Hold it!
So he put the letter away when he saw you.
Ruler reporter gets warned. End quote. That's my secret.
I'm not sure if I follow.
It's the night of the interview. I arrive 15 minutes ahead of schedule. The handle turns, door opens, and I barge in.
Are you sure that's okay to do? I mean, isn't it unlawful entry, really?
Mr. Mesham sure seemed to think so. You should have seen him. Turned the letter into that yellow envelope as fast as he could.
Yellow?
Oh? We don't have a yellow envelope, do we?
No, we do not.
I know a secret when I spot one. That was one.
It does seem significant. Well, Mr. Justice?
This is how we get him. We're gonna get him to specify the yellow envelope, and then we can present the red envelope. Be like, the envelope in his desk was red.
I wonder. It does have the ring as something important. Yep. Defense finds his testimony vital, Your Honor. Very well. Please add it to the testimony, then.
Yeah, why not? My account comes free of charge.
Objection!
As it just so happens, there was a single letter in the desk drawer at the scene. In a red envelope.
What?
Oh, God.
What was that?
Prosecutor Gavin.
Yes?
Yeah. Was a yellow envelope found at the scene of the crime?
Unfortunately, no. But if or hit. It's easy to mistake the color of an envelope. No, not like that.
I guess, but not this envelope. You see, it was postmarked already, 7 years ago. Well, Mr. Bushel?
I can explain that. Drew, right? You wanted to get that letter in the envelope pronto. Get out of sight, beady eyes, right? Grabbed the nearest envelope and crammed it away.
And what about the whole red and yellow envelope contradiction, chump? Well, Mr. Justice, have you anything to say to the witness's claim? That's right, a victim put a letter he'd been writing in a red envelope.
So I think it's impossible. Do you concur?
Yeah. The victim put a letter he had been writing. That's impossible because it's not even his writing. That's impossible.
Ah, I like your expression. So full of confidence.
It's simple, really. As it just so happens, the defense team investigated the contents of this envelope with the assistance of a forensic scientist.
What? I thought she wasn't working for you. What's going on here? Claire, we just talked sweet science with her, and she said, okay. Dang it, I gotta have a talk with her. Maybe we gotta lower her pay.
Note that this letter is addressed to Drew Misham.
Oh?
Why would he address a letter to himself? Let alone send a suicide note to himself.
I've been schooled.
Oh my god, that animation. Order, order, order! Mr. Brushel, can you explain this to the court?
Oh, my, how could I have forgotten? I suppose this happens to the best of us. Reporter gets old for red slots.
I'm still waiting for an explanation, Mr. Brushel.
Well, that's the thing, see? I had to put the letter in that envelope. Mr. Misham sat there searching his desk for something.
His desk drawer.
Yes, a stamp, so-called. Postage stamp, end quote.
A stamp, whatever for.
Well, to mail his letter. What else? Then, why, yes, I think I saw him put it in my letterbox. But it was a yellow envelope, and he put it in that box.
Well, apparently this yellow letter has nothing to do with it.
I wish it did. Just think if it were a suicide note. What a story. Star writes suicide note in front of reporter. Falls. End quote.
As I was saying, that has nothing to do with this case. That said. Yes, Your Honor?
Wouldn't that letter have been found, though?
Yep. Like the postman doesn't come in the night. It makes me wonder about the contents of that red envelope. $100,000 is quite a good deal of money.
So this was from 7 years ago, Jack. So, am I finished? Yeah, am I finished here? I was thinking of, going home to start writing. You may not leave. He wants out.
I hate to state what should be pretty obvious to anyone. But when you catch the scent of a story, you make that rather unique face.
Come on. Attorney has active imagination. Little else. End quote.
Even I noticed something, and my eyes aren't what they used to be. You know, I'm starting to understand what all this perceiving stuff is about. Judge has active imagination. End quote. Please end all the episodes in end quote. Please continue your testimony. Tell us about the scent of a story.
Hey, I'm the one asking the questions here, usually. So what's his thing gonna be?
I feel like that amount of money.
Actually, took a bit of work to get a thumbs up on the interview. Reporter left his story, gets his interview, end quote. Story concerned a certain case from 7 years ago. That red envelope probably had something to do with it. Say what you will, but Drew's talent was without compare.
So you threatened to go to press with a story. That's how you got your interview. Blackmail?
Well, yes. I mean, no.
I think we gotta press him on everything, though.
Wasn't exactly black. I mean, it's not.
Something wrong, Mr. Brushel.
Look, this is my story, my tidbit. Journalist info is livelihood. End quote.
I see.
Well, you had me chatting away here. What's going on out there? What if some Wally Word is worse than Sally Scoopberg gets wind of my story? I could be going to the press while I'm going to waste.
The court feels your pain, Mr. Brushel, Mr. Justice. Let's pick up the pace.
Now, let's take it slow.
A certain case, 7 years ago. Wait, 7 years ago?
Band's glowing. You gotta perceive. And I think... Where is it?
It could be that one there.
No. This one. I think it would be this one. Because this is already an unsure statement. The red envelope probably had something to do with it. Right. I didn't mean to press, but we'll see what this says.
The victim drew Misham at an average aversion to reporters.
Boy, I guess. Not even my considerable charms did much for him. Until I finally got my thumbs up, that is. Maybe you can elaborate on that a bit for us?
Hold it!
Exactly what that sort of story was this.
Oh, a little one. Like I said. Nothing more, nothing less, nothing in between. End quote. I might have a suggestion that I'll lead the story on particular story. But didn't threaten or cahote or nothing.
The suggestion was enough to get an interview. Mr. Misha must have really wanted to keep it under wraps.
Hold it!
A certain case 7 years ago. Tell us, what case?
Let me say one thing, Mr. Attorney, and you can quote me on this. I can't talk about that case.
Why not?
It's about journalistic pride and staunchness and credibility and connections. Journalist reveals source only over his dead body. End quote. So what will it be? You gonna strangle me? Dead men don't tell tales, Mr. Attorney.
Feels pretty determined not to talk. My chances of breaking his will aren't looking good.
Hold it!
On the one hand, we have your story, and on the other, this letter. What makes you think the two are related?
Oh, I was just saying it was possible. Call it reporter's intuition. End quote. Yeah, I say a lot of things. You go and pick up all of them? Call them part? Be my guest.
All of them? No, just the incredibly suspicious ones. I see. Anything else to add about Mr. Misham?
Say what you will about Drew. His talent was without compare.
Hold it!
Just how amazing was Mr. Misham's talent?
Huh? Who boy? I mean, hey, he's a star. He has a weird face about that. Maybe he knows about the forgeries.
I think he does.
So maybe this is our perceived statement.
Yeah. Right on, his talent.
Flow of his brush is like a great, undaunted river across the campus. Artist paints light up, studio sun. End quote.
Guy's full of wacky gestures. But that one just now was wackier than usual. It looks kind of nervous to me, Apollo. Definitely. I'm sensing something different than before here. Maybe it's time to bring in the you-know-what. That testimony left a bad taste in my mouth. It all makes sense. Nothing jumps out as ridiculous. I wonder what the story has talking about is. It must have been good to get an interview with a famous recluse like that. I want power enough to make Drew Misham come out of hiding. I wonder... Maybe that's something to do with Mr. Misham's art. All I can say is you've been checking everything but the folds in his armpits.
There's no way it's that.
Because there's 3 of them there, and if he even moves an inch on one of them, maybe he shifted his arm slightly.
But we would still see that if we're looking up at his shoulder.
Mind you, though, this is what year?
Yeah, because they're gonna.
You get what I'm saying?
They're gonna change just this part, but the arm doesn't move, which would be causing that spot to move.
Like this is a clench, like right here.
Yeah,
I'm clenching right now.
Your whole arm's moving.
And if I'm like this,
yeah, your whole arm is still moving. You would see it.
Check every statement. Check his weird ass arm folds. I bet you it's that. That's the only thing you haven't been doing. Other than maybe his ears more thoroughly, but like...
Earl likes himself some pics.
Apparently. It just bothers me because he has a big ass office shirt and he's just.
Not in there.
Oh!
Did it twitch?
I was right, bitch!
His whole arm moved, didn't it?
No, there's no movement. Go back down. Go back down. Something changes. And it disappeared.
His arm moved just like ever so slightly. What is this crap?
And then appear. Disappear.
Gotcha!
Apparently
What the crap
he
is
has
that?
master sweat manipulation, I guess. Mr. Brushel, you're hiding something.
Yeah.
Literally, it was the whole neck escapade. You're looking at everything but, like, the one thing, and I'm just like, it's gotta be the one thing Shiro's not looking at.
Like, that was just such a minute difference. What is that crap? How are you
It
supposed to see
bothers
that?
me. His arms are like this, and you're just like, we must view up here and the gap above it.
Don't yell all of a sudden like that. You'll give a guy a heart attack.
Ah, sorry. It's just... the way you're moving just now is particularly suspicious.
What's that supposed to mean? He was sort of averagely suspicious.
Sorry, my mistake. You're fine.
Oh, maybe what it was is he turned his body slightly. That's why the lighting changed. Maybe, like, and you could just barely see it in there. Cause like it kind of seems where like he didn't move his arm, but down low changed. Or maybe it was like his elbow moved away slightly. That's why the lighting changed. We'll see what he said.
We'll see what the explanation is, I guess. Because there's no way he sweat that fast and then went, absorber, swiver. Sorry, my mistake. You're fine. Something is changing. Maybe you didn't press it on it. Say what you will. And it appears there.
Gotcha!
Maybe I did it slightly too late. Ah, there it goes. I did it slightly too late.
Sweat much, Mr. Brushel?
Oh yeah, I guess it's just his arms just sweating. That's it.
Really? So in court, if you don't have deodorant?
Yeah.
Apologies to
Well,
Smash players everywhere.
a man can't help his glands, you know.
It's more than that. When Mr. Mishim's talent was mentioned, you suddenly began to sweat buckets.
That is such a tiny detail. Like, you have to be staring directly at it.
You're hiding something about his talent. And it's something we knew from the beginning, too.
That's ridiculous.
Evidence time. Might as well tactical save. It just so happens I have evidence showing the talent mentioned in that letter.
Might be this one.
And it's stolen, right? So. This painting was found in Mr. Misham's studio. There are two problems with this painting. The first is that it wasn't painted by Mr. Misham. The second is that there was another painting in the studio, which looked exactly like this one, but it was only half done. Then we have a letter discussing a payment of 100K, which is such a certain business operation. The business of making forgeries. That is all, Your Honor.
Everyone, please. Please, everyone. Come and keep this private, please. This is my story, my scoop.
Forgery, that's a serious crime.
Drew Misham is known as an artist these days. But there are rumors he dabs in another kind of art until a few years back.
Another art meaning? Forgery?
Drew Misham was talented, all right. Talented at making precise, detailed fakes. A fact that certain criminal elements were quick to discover.
Criminal element. What, you can't seriously be talking about?
Exactly. I'm talking about forging evidence. Rumor circulated about 7 years ago.
7 years ago?
It keeps
He must have
getting
made something so convincing it shut down Wright. And then Wright picks this. So we're to understand that this letter, this payment of 100K was for...
Exactly. Forged evidence. Net started profit. End quote. Oh boy.
I just had a bad premonition. If we connect that letter to any of the Gavin's writing, him or his brother, we have massive, massive case reopening. Why? It's like our victim was living a double life. Aha, this is my chance. So the victim had ties to the criminal world, right? He could have had plenty of enemies we know nothing about.
Objection!
This is my first time hearing of this criminal world. We certainly found no criminal connections when we conducted our investigation.
Objection!
But how do you explain all this money? You do have to admit there's a possibility of some illegal activity here.
Objection!
But there is no proof tying this letter to our case.
He's right.
Our case was, and remains, simple from the beginning. Only the defendant could have poisoned that mug that night. And you, of course.
Didn't spare him.
Hey, you don't think I poison is my pen when I'm writing reviews.
Mr. Bushel, your testimony to this point has been quite unreliable. It doesn't speak well of your reporting acumen.
What are you talking about? My journalism rock solid. Journalism so solid, you could stand an elephant on it. End quote.
In any case, let's hear a summarized recap of your testimony. If we can ascertain the situation is at studio from the recap, the trial is over. Oh. Apollo, what is he talking about? The cross-examination showed Mr. Bushel doesn't have reason or means to poison him. As long as there's no other suspects, then the killer had to be Vera. That's what. So we have to prove a third person or another party. The next testimony is our last chance. Mr. Bushel, your testimony, please.
The only person in that studio that night was the defendant. It was Vera who poured the coffee. She admitted as much herself. The only thing that touched Drew's lips during the interview was that mug. Just doesn't left that studio after he died. Nothing. Clearly, the only one who could have poisoned him was his daughter.
Nothing left that studio. I wonder if we could prove something left the studio that night.
A nice testimony. Clear, succinct, and without room for doubt. Oh, shucks. You really think so?
I believe this clarifies the situation that night. Very well, Mr. Justice, you may begin your final cross-examination. Right. I still have one trump card left to play.
Yep, I think I know what it is.
And I won't let this trial end until I use it. It's the Pandora's box.
No.
I think it is.
Would be the letter. So, oh yeah, so well yeah, that's
The box is missing a stamp, right?
But here's the other thing I was thinking. Like, this might have something to do with it.
It's clearly missing whatever was in it.
So, I'm not by this. We can't open this. Well, we could try this. Because nothing left at
There's
night.
no trace of anything.
He said the yellow envelope went out.
True.
Objection!
There we go.
There you go. This is the only link between the studio and the outside world. A letterbox? What did Mr. Bushell just tell us? When he entered the studio on the night of the murder, the victim had just finished writing a letter.
Yeah, I said that. And yeah, it was true.
Furthermore, he went on to tell us that he put the letter in a yellow envelope and put it in the letterbox. Ah. But the very same letterbox is empty. In other words, that night the yellow envelope disappeared.
Objection!
Ah, yes, intriguing. So an envelope has disappeared from the scene of the crime. Of course, this changes nothing.
Huh? He has a point, Mr. Justice.
Does he, though?
What we're trying to figure out here is how the poison got into Mr. Misham. Is it really important that this envelope where the witness says he saw disappeared? Yes. Well, if it did disappear, then something did leave the studio that night. That seems very important to me. Very well, then the witness will add this to his testimony.
You got it. I still think it fails to change anything at forehead.
I wouldn't be so sure. A letter disappeared from the crime scene that night. This is exactly the opening I've been looking for.
Hold it!
Nothing could be more serious than an envelope disappearing from the studio. And you were hiding that fact from us.
Yes, well, actually. I don't argue the possibility that that letter disappeared from the studio. But at forehead, isn't it a much more serious question before us?
Right, how Mr. Misham was poisoned. Mr. Bushell's testimony has changed, which means there's facts that the case have too. And what he told us means something entirely different now. I'm starting to think.
He licked the letter.
I honestly pieced that together not even a second to go silently. If he licked the letter, sign the papers and send an enclosed envelope with the enclosed stamp within 3 days.
The enclosed envelope, the poison could have been on the envelope.
That crossed my mind. The problem is, how did the poison... Was it...
Whoever sent him the letter applied it to the letter.
Yeah. Or maybe he applied it to the enclosed stamp, and that was that little portrait. And then he opened it, had it on his thumb, and then... Let's keep thinking, Apollo.